right. It'll be a fun one, guys. Who creates championships and dynasties? Is it coaches or is it players? Is it nature or is it nurture? We're going to talk about, is it more important to have a coach like Phil Jackson, or is it more important to have a player like Michael Jordan? Let's find out. Let's go. Ba 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 da 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 da. Welcome to the Mike Check Yourself Show. This is your host, Legacy Mike. It is a fantastic day here in the Legacy Lounge. We're in the studio, baby. We're recording. I can't wait to talk about a fun one, because who doesn't love talking about sports? We talk a lot about money. We talk a lot about finance and entrepreneurship, but sometimes we need to just talk about how to win. We're going to talk about the nature versus nurture debate. This is a fun one. And honestly, I have my opinions about this, but I can't wait to hear what you guys say in the comments, because this is a subject that I go back and forth on all the time, and I'm not fully convinced of what I'm going to say today. So I would love to hear from you guys. If you get value out of the show, if you love this show, drop a comment, give me some love, give me some hate. Tell me things you don't like about the show. Tell me the things that you disagree with. Let's talk about it, guys. This is a show for you where I get to check myself and go, Mike, maybe you're wrong. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. So we're going to kick this show off with my favorite segment. This is called Open Mic. You guys hand me the microphone. I'm in a comedy club, and I'm just going to share what's on my mind today. So I was watching Penn State wrestling last night. I'm a Penn State alumni, and the wrestling team is the best in the world by far, bar none. And they are absolutely dominating teams this year. Shout out to Kale, Sanderson, and the whole entire team. Shout out to Mitchell Messenbrink. That guy is my favorite wrestler. Carter Starachi's going for his 5th championship this year. Never been done. Super exciting. And these guys are rolling. They just faced Iowa a couple weeks ago and absolutely destroyed them, despite Iowa saying they were going to come and take us down in our house, and you didn't. And then we just took down Ohio State in their house with a bunch of our wrestlers out and just absolutely crushed them. Okay, I'll stop. But I started thinking, Penn State 15 years ago really wasn't that great at wrestling. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were respectable, but they weren't amazing. Teams like Iowa and Iowa State and Ohio State and Oklahoma State, they were just farther along than us. They have more championships, better wrestlers, better program. And then this guy, Kale Sanderson, comes from Iowa State, the greatest wrestler of all time, Olympic gold medalist, the only undefeated person ever in the NCAA, comes along, and immediately Penn State starts winning championships to the tune of 11 national titles in the past 15 years. Guys, that's crazy. That's like total and complete domination. And then the past couple years, it's always been the debate, is this the best wrestling team of all time? And then they set the record. Like last year, they set the record for the most points. Then this year, they're saying this could be the best wrestling team of all time. It's just absolutely crazy. And Kale Sanderson has won, I believe, 69 straight matches in a row. He's tied the record for the most wins in a row. Absolutely bananas. So think about that, guys. How frustrating is it to be an Ohio State or Iowa or Oklahoma State fan and just lose every year to Penn State? And it ain't going anywhere. The dynasty is here to stay. This could be the greatest dynasty in sports of all time. The only way this dynasty train stops is if something happens to Kale or he leaves. That simple. So moving on to the next segment of the show. Is this thing on? We're in a comedy club, and I'm going to debate of which is more important, nature or nurture. So I teed it off with Kale Sanderson. Kale Sanderson coming to Penn State, and now they start winning championships. So let me ask you this. What's more important, nature or nurture? Is it the wrestlers doing the work, or is it Kale Sanderson? Is it the chicken or the egg, right? So then I started looking at a couple other examples, and this is what breaks my brain, guys. You got things like Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson. I almost said Michael Jackson. How could you not? But Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson, where Michael Jordan didn't win a championship without Phil Jackson. But Phil Jackson won as a player and a coach. And more importantly, he won with Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and the Lakers. So who's more important in that instance? Is it Michael Jordan, the GOAT? Which he's so much better than LeBron. It's not even funny. Is it Michael Jordan or is it Phil Jackson? Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. It's a combination of both. But here's where my brain really breaks. You got things like Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, where Tom Brady has won without Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick hasn't won without Tom Brady. Then you got things like Kobe Bryant, who never won a championship without Phil Jackson. So is Phil Jackson the reason that these teams are winning, or is it people like Kobe, LeBron, and Shaq? Is this thing on? Do great coaches build dynasties, or do great players? Here's my opinion. It's all about the coaching. I'm going to say it, guys. It's all about the coaching. I know a lot of you guys are thinking, oh, it's the players. They're the ones out there shooting the basketball. They're the ones doing the wrestling takedowns. They're doing all this stuff. But here's my argument for you. Those great players would never be recruited if it wasn't for the coach. If it wasn't for people like Kale who are going to the high schools and winning championships and saying, you should come and wrestle at our program. Secondly, you can have an amazing athlete who doesn't train properly and doesn't win. Great coaches know how to bring the best out of athletes. If you've ever watched The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, you can see there were a lot of times where Phil Jackson knew how to rally the team and bring everybody together. Michael Jordan was one piece of the puzzle. You had players like Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, who it was all about the team. And Phil Jackson knew how to rally those guys together. He knew how to play on the dynamic of Kobe and Shaq when they were at each other's throats. He knew how to recruit and train and hire the right coaches and get the right facilities and do the right things to bring the team together. So coaching, in my opinion, is way more important than the players. Oh, I know I just offended a bunch of you guys, especially the Tom Brady fans, because you're like, there's no way that Bill Belichick would win without Tom Brady. And guess what? You're right. So I want you to give me your best debate back on what you think. Is it nature or is it nurture? All right, so moving along to the next segment. This is called Just the Tips because, guys, I'm not Phil Jackson. I'm not Michael Jordan. I'm not Kale Sanderson. I'm just a dude with 7 years of entrepreneurship experience and some life experiences. And so all I can give you is the tip. I can't give you the whole thing. So I'm going to kick it off with just the tips and tell you, how do you take this information and how do you win in your everyday life? Guys, this isn't just about sports. This is about winning in your business, your family, your faith, all of these things. So what do you do? Is it nature or nurture? In my opinion, it is nurture. And so what does that mean? You need good coaches in your life. You need people that can lead, guide, and train you. I'm not talking about your broke uncle who's giving you financial advice or your friend down the street who's done one business deal and thinks he's Donald Trump. I'm talking about real people who have been there and done that and have exactly what you want. So what does that require? That's going to require you to actually pay for coaches. I know that seems silly, but the best players understand that they need a coach and they're willing to pay money for it. Because here's the deal, guys, a good coach ain't going to do it for free. And some of you might be saying, you know what? If they were really that good and they're really that wealthy, like a business coach, why don't they just do it for free? Why don't they give back? Because here's the deal. Those who pay attention. If you don't put your own money into something, you are never going to pay attention. I am living proof of that. There have been things that I've signed up for that were free and I never did jack squat with it. And conversely, I have done a bunch of free coaching and people don't show up and they don't care and they don't give a rip and they never succeed. So not only should you pay for a coach, you should pay a considerable amount of money for a coach. There are so many times that I've heard people say this. One of my favorite authors, John C. Maxwell, he talks about how he paid for a coach and he paid for training. He got, back then it was cassette tapes, and he bought programs. And he talks in his book about how it was a considerable amount of money. Guys, you have to do it so much to where it almost hurts, or it does hurt, because you will be fully invested in what you're doing. So if you want to be the best, you want to lead the best organization, you want to be at the top of your game, hire a coach and hire a good one. Same thing with your faith. You know, Don't just attend a church where, you sing a couple songs, you go home and kumbaya, everything's good. No, get a pastor who knows what he's talking about. Make sure that person knows the word. Make sure that pastor is connecting you to people in the church, and you're in small groups and things like that. I actually just got a call from my pastor yesterday. He's like, "Man, I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. I just want to make sure that you're doing good." And that conversation meant the world to me. And it was because I was struggling with a couple things. So, guys, get good coaches in your life, get accountability, and actually crave that accountability. Make it so that way that person pushes you and you reach new heights in your life and your business. Secondly, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. Having good players is so important. You yourself need to be at the top of your game, okay? They would not have won all the championships without Michael Jordan and without Kobe Bryant working their absolute butts off every day with training, with workouts, getting up early, lifting the weights, doing the thing. So you, as the leader of your organization and of your business and as your family, you need to be at the top of your game. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your physical health. Take care of your spiritual health. Make sure you take time for yourself. Work on your craft. Study. Get new skills. Be at the top of your game, guys, because your organization and your family and your legacy is counting on you. Did you know that athletes like LeBron James spend $1 million a year on just their physical health? More recently, I've been doing things for myself to get in better shape and get healthier. Like I've been going to see doctors. I just went to the dentist, made sure my teeth were great. I've been getting massages. I've been going on walks. I invested in really good footwear for those walks. Things like that to invest in yourself so you could be at the top of your game. We know that talent definitely matters. So be so good that you're absolutely unstoppable in your business. And as the leader of your organization, you get to be the Phil Jackson or the Kale Sanderson. You get to recruit A players for your organization so that way you can win. Here's what most business owners do. Because they're weak leaders themselves and they don't invest in themselves and they don't do the right things, they hire people that are weaker than them because nobody is going to follow a person who's weaker than them. Just is what it is. And they want to save money on payroll. So they hire these weak people. They come in, they're B and C players, and their organization sucks. It never moves. Nobody ever grows. There's no promotion opportunities. And those people that are good end up leaving. And they're stuck with these B and C players all the time. If you want to build a winning organization, whether it's your business or whether it's a team, I don't care what it is, you have to have A players on your team. I know that I said coaching matters more, but here's the reality. Kale Sanderson and Phil Jackson, these great coaches, Bill Belichick, they would never, ever be able to win without great talent and great players. So you have to know how to recruit great talent. You have to know how to train and onboard them. You have to know how to manage and lead them. And if you hire A players and you bring A players in your organization and you train them and you help them, you will be so unstoppable. It's not even funny. Here's my last tip for you guys. Be comfortable and confident in who you are as a leader. I see a lot of leaders, they have ego problems and they get in the way of their business because they don't want to let go. They bring in A players like Michael Jordan and then they micromanage them and they tell them what to do all day and they think that they're better and there's this ego and this power struggle. Like the great coaches like Kale, they bring people in that are A players, they're the best at what they do. They train them and they give them the tools and they let their coaches underneath them in the organization dictate how that person is developed. And they jump in when they need to. You don't see Kale out there wrestling with those guys every day and making sure they're doing the right technique. He's got assistant coaches. You don't see Kale micromanaging every single meal that those guys eat. That's why they have great nutritionists. You don't see Kale stretching them every day and making sure that their injuries are taken care of. That's why they have athletic trainers there. If you want to win, it takes an entire team to win. All right, so we're going to move on to the next segment of the show. This is the mic drop moments. This is where I wrap the show up. This is where I drop bombs on you guys and I tell you what you need to do to win and succeed. Here's the thing, guys. Coaching matters more, I think, than the players, which is crazy. But here's something that you got to consider. A great coach can teach, guide, and train you, but they can't make you want it. Mic drop moment. You have to want it for yourself. There have been so many times in my life and business where I've had somebody on my team and I'm like, man, I just like I want it for this guy so bad and he's so talented and he's so great. And like if he would just get his act together and he would just like stop partying on the weekends, he would just stop doing this stuff, he would be unstoppable. But here's the thing. You have to want it more than your coach wants it for you. You've got to be hungry and humble. You've got to put the work in. You've got to grind. You got to get up every day and work at your craft. You have to put yourself in a position where your coach can lead and train you and that you're fun to coach. I've hired lots of coaches over the years, and I always tell them, I'm going to be your top student. I'm going to do everything you say, and I'm going to be fun coach. So, guys, let me just tell you a little personal story. We built this business and we started selling licenses to it. It's called Lightning Leads if you want to check it out. And we help people generate leads and we actually sold our business model to them, basically like a McDonald's franchise. And people will buy our business model and they'll get in there and they'll start following the steps and they'll go, you know what? I think it would work better if I did this. I think it would work better if I did that. And they start messing up the system. There are people literally in there changing everything that we do and changing all of our methods. And then they come to us and say, you know what, Mike, this business doesn't work. I feel like I got scammed. And then we do an audit and we look at their stuff. And I'm like, well, why did you change this? And why did you change that? Well, I just thought that would work better. Dude, like you're talking to the guy who invented the system and made seven figures with this and helped other people make hundreds of thousands of dollars themselves. And like you think you can do it better than us? Just follow the system. Imagine how frustrating that is buying a Subway franchise and telling them that you should put more meat on the sandwich and that you should bake the bread a lot longer. Like, dude, do the proven system that works. So, mic drop moment. Get a coach and freaking listen to them. Do exactly what they say. Now, you should do your work on the front end and make sure that person is qualified, make sure they're the real deal, do your due diligence, and make sure that they actually have what you want. But if that's the case, if they have what you want, then follow what they say. Stop doing the other stuff. And if you don't like the stuff they do and you get into a coaching agreement with them, then go find another coach. But sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror and go, you know what? I'm the problem. There have been so many times where that same person or those same people that don't follow my system haven't followed other people's system. And guess what? They've been on this hamster wheel of 10 years where things don't work. And then they get frustrated and they blame us because it doesn't work. Sometimes you need to realize you're the problem. You're not following it the way that you should. You're not leveraging the resources that you're given. Mic drop moment. Stop going on your own path. Follow the system. It's clear to me that Phil Jackson knows how to win championships. If I was a basketball player, which I'm not, if I was, I would listen to everything that guy says and I would do it to a T. I wouldn't create my own program. If I wrestled for Kale Sanderson, I'd be like, Kale, what do I got to do? How many hours a day do I got to work out? Who do I got to train with? Who's the nutritionist I need to talk to? Like, I would just do it exactly like they tell me. If coaching doesn't matter more than the players, then why don't these teams just pay the players more to not have the coach there? Mic drop moment. Coaches matter more. Why wouldn't they just pay Michael Jordan, the salary of Phil Jackson and say, Michael Jordan, why don't you lead the team? Because not all great players are great coaches. Michael Jordan is the perfect example of this. How many of you guys remember Michael Jordan? He went and he played for the Wizards and then he became a coach and then he became a GM and the teams just were not winning championships because Michael Jordan is a great player. He's not a great coach. Conversely, there's people out there that have never played basketball or at a high level and they don't understand how to win championships as a player. They don't have the physical talent that some of these guys have, but they're great coaches, great leaders, and great entrepreneurs. I personally think it's harder to find a great coach than it is to find a great player. Mic drop moment. If you lead an organization, you are valuable. If you are coaching somewhere or something, you are extremely valuable. Understand that what you do is extremely hard and that you're doing something amazing. Now let's wrap it up with one final debate and a mic drop moment. Would Phil Jackson be able to win with a bunch of scrub players? I don't know. I don't know. Conversely, would Tom Brady be able to win with a bum coach? I'm like, I don't know, because there's times where it's like people like Tom Brady, they go over to the Buccaneers and they bring Gronk with them, and then all of a sudden they win a championship. Like, it blows my mind. Overall, I think coaching is the most important thing in any business, in any team, in any organization. And I believe it's nurture more than nature. Mic drop moment. Guys, go out there and win. Hire a coach. Do exactly what they freaking say. And go out there and win, guys. Let's win together. And if there's anything I can do, if I can be a coach to you, if I can be a mentor, I'm all here for it, guys, because I'm Legacy Mike. That's my job, to help you guys win. So with that, get a coach, win today. Nurture is more important than nature. Signing off. This is the Mike Check Yourself Show. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go.